July 29, 2025 began quietly across the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. The first light of dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and pink, as if nothing unusual was about to happen. In Kamchatka, seasoned fishermen moved with practiced ease, readying their nets and boats for another day's work. The salty air was filled with the sounds of laughter and conversation, as generations of families prepared for the morning's catch, unaware that their routines were about to be shattered. In Japan, the day was already in full swing. Commuters hurried through bustling city streets and crowded train stations, their minds occupied with the day ahead. The rhythm of daily life pulsed through the cities, a testament to the resilience and energy of the people. Meanwhile, across the ocean in Hawaii and along the U.S. West Coast, most people were still wrapped in the comfort of sleep. Quiet neighborhoods lay undisturbed, the world outside calm and peaceful, with only the faintest hint of the coming storm. But deep beneath the Pacific, far below the surface where sunlight never reaches, immense geological forces were at work. Tectonic plates, massive slabs of the Earth's crust, strained and groaned against each other, building up pressure over decades, pressure that demanded release. Suddenly, in a violent instant, the seabed ruptured. A colossal magnitude 8.8 earthquake tore through the ocean floor just off Kamchatka, sending shockwaves rippling through the water and the land above. The energy unleashed was staggering. Russian coastal villages shook violently, homes rattling on their foundations as the ground convulsed beneath them. People stumbled from their beds, confusion and fear etched on their faces. Buildings crumbled, windows shattered in a cascade of glass, and the very earth split open. Streets buckled, and the landscape was transformed in moments, leaving devastation in its wake. Yet for all the destruction, the true danger was only just beginning. The earthquake was merely the first act in a much larger disaster. The violent rupture displaced an enormous column of water, setting off a chain reaction. Powerful waves began to form, gathering strength and speed as they raced outward from the epicenter. The tsunami was born, silent at first but utterly unstoppable. It moved across the ocean at the speed of a jetliner, invisible to those above, yet carrying unimaginable force. From the Russian coast, the waves began their relentless journey outward, destined to touch shores thousands of miles away. Islands and continents alike would soon feel the impact, as the Pacific became a highway for destruction. In Kamchatka, the warning was clear. Sirens blared and people scrambled for higher ground, grabbing loved ones and whatever they could carry. They knew what was coming, but time was running out. Across the region, emergency responders rushed into action. Neighbors helped neighbors, strangers became allies, and communities braced themselves for the unknown. The world was about to witness not only the raw power of nature, but also the resilience and courage of humanity. This was the beginning of the Great Pacific Quake of 2025, a disaster that would be remembered for generations. All eyes turned to the ocean, anxiety and fear etched on every face. The question was not if the waves would come, but when and how much devastation they would bring. The race against time had begun, as the Pacific's fury surged toward unsuspecting shores. To truly understand the origins of a tsunami, we must journey beneath the surface of the ocean, far below the waves where sunlight fades and the world is silent and still. Here, in the darkness, immense forces are at work, shaping the fate of entire coastlines. Deep below, the Earth's crust is divided into massive slabs called tectonic plates. These plates are constantly moving, grinding against each other, sometimes locking together for years or even centuries, building up unimaginable tension. Off the rugged coast of Kamchatka, the Pacific Plate was slowly being forced beneath the North American Plate, a process known as subduction. For decades, pressure mounted as the plates refused to budge, storing energy like a coiled spring. Then, on July 29th, that tension was suddenly released. The seafloor lurched upward in a violent jolt, shifting millions of tons of rock in an instant, and displacing a colossal volume of water above. This abrupt movement sent shockwaves through the ocean, creating a tsunami. Unlike ordinary surface waves, which only disturb the uppermost layer of water, a tsunami involves the entire depth of the ocean, from the seafloor to the surface. Out in the deep ocean, these waves can travel at speeds of up to 800 kilometers per hour, faster than a commercial jet. Yet, despite their speed, they are barely noticeable, often just a gentle rise and fall, only a meter high or less. Ships sailing across the open sea might not even realize a tsunami has passed beneath them, as the energy moves silently and invisibly through the water. But as these waves approach the shallower waters near the coast, their speed decreases, and their height increases dramatically, transforming into towering walls of water that threaten everything in their path. A wave that was barely noticeable in the deep ocean can suddenly rise up to 20 meters or more as it crashes onto the shore, unleashing devastating power. Tsunamis rarely arrive as a single wave. Instead, they come in a series, sometimes minutes, sometimes hours apart. Each wave can be larger and more destructive than the one before, catching people off guard. As the first warning sounded, the entire Pacific region was put on high alert, bracing for the impact of nature's most powerful and unpredictable force. Kamchatka's rugged coast was the first to face the tsunami's wrath, standing as a lonely sentinel at the edge of the Pacific. Here, the land meets the ocean in a dramatic clash of rock and water, a place where nature's power is always close at hand. In towns like Ust-Kamchatsk, years of emergency drills and community preparedness paid off. Residents didn't wait for sirens or official warnings. They recognized the signs and ran for higher ground, their instincts sharpened by generations living with the threat of the sea. The first waves arrived within 30 minutes, not as curling breakers but as a relentless, debris-filled surge that swallowed streets and fields. The water moved with terrifying speed, carrying with it fragments of daily life, boats, fences, even entire sheds. The sea receded ominously, exposing the ocean floor, and then returned with devastating force. Homes, docks, and memories were swept away in moments, leaving behind only splintered wood and silence. Fisherman Dmitry Volkov recalled, "We heard the sirens and ran. When we looked back, our homes were gone." His words echoed the shock and disbelief felt by many who lost everything in a matter of minutes. Russian authorities responded with remarkable speed. Helicopters swept over the disaster zone, rescue teams mobilized on the ground, and coordinated evacuations saved countless lives. The response was a testament to the value of preparation and quick action. Communication was difficult, with power lines down and roads blocked, but community spirit prevailed. People used radios, shouted warnings, and gathered in small groups to share news and comfort. Neighbors helped each other reach safety, carrying the elderly and guiding the young. A school teacher led her students up a steep cliff, singing songs to calm their fears as the waves thundered below. The material losses were heavy, boats smashed, homes reduced to rubble, and livelihoods washed away. Yet, thanks to preparedness and quick thinking, the number of casualties was far lower than it might have been. Kamchatka's resilience was tested as never before, and the community proved its strength. People came together to clear debris, rebuild homes, and support one another in the long days that followed. The event was a stark reminder of nature's unpredictable power, but also of the importance of human readiness, cooperation, and courage in the face of disaster. The wild, beautiful coast had survived, battered, scarred, but unbroken. As the sun rose over Kamchatka, hope returned, and the spirit of the people shone through the devastation. The world watched and learned, reminded that even in the most remote corners of the earth, the strength of community and the lessons of preparedness can make all the difference. Japan, with its history of tsunamis, was ready. Within minutes, the Japan Meteorological Agency issued tsunami warnings for Hokkaido and northern Honshu. Alerts blared on every device and loudspeaker. "A tsunami is coming, evacuate immediately." Across the coast, traffic lights prioritized evacuation, schools emptied in calm order, and seawalls stood ready. The first waves arrived 90 minutes after the quake, smaller than in Russia, but still dangerous. Seawalls absorbed much of the impact. Some areas flooded, but mass evacuations saved lives. An elderly resident said, "We heard the siren and went. You don't question the warning." Japan's investment in technology, education, and infrastructure paid off. There was disruption, but no loss of life. Japan's response became a model for the world. The tsunami sped toward Hawaii and the U.S. West Coast. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center issued alerts within minutes, escalating to full warnings for Hawaii and advisories for the West Coast. In Hawaii, sirens wailed. Broadcasts urged evacuation, and highways flowed smoothly as people moved inland. The first waves arrived 5 hours after the quake, powerful but not catastrophic. Beaches and harbors flooded, but the islands were empty. The evacuation worked. On the West Coast, advisories kept people off beaches and piers. Surges and strong currents lasted for hours, but damage was limited. In Hilo, the water surged but stayed within riverbanks. The event tested emergency systems and public response. It was a real-world drill, reminding all that distant quakes can have local consequences. The US was prepared, and lives were saved. The Pacific's warning system had proven its worth. The tsunami's reach extended to thousands of Pacific islands, many with little high ground. In French Polynesia, authorities issued watches and used every channel to warn people away from the coast. In the Marquesas, church bells rang out warnings. The waves arrived hours later, small, but enough to disrupt daily life and cause anxiety. In the Galapagos, tour boats stayed offshore and wildlife areas were protected. Easter Island's residents moved inland, watching over the iconic Moai statues. The waves were minor, but the warnings worked. The event underscored the Pacific's interconnectedness. One rupture sent ripples to the world's most remote shores. Even the smallest islands were part of the story. The 2025 event was a lesson in tsunami science and the value of warning systems. Tsunamis are not just tall waves, they are massive surges involving the entire ocean depth carrying immense energy inland. The key to survival is early detection and rapid warning. Seismographs detect quakes, dart buoys confirm tsunamis, computer models predict arrival times and heights. Warnings are sent to governments, then to the public via sirens, alerts, and broadcasts. The 2025 quake showed the system's effectiveness. Detection was immediate, warnings accurate, and communities had hours to prepare. Science turned a potential catastrophe into a story of survival. The difference was warning time. With it, people moved out of harm's way. Preparedness saved lives. The 2025 tsunami tested not just nations, but global cooperation. The Pacific Tsunami Warning System is built on shared data and expertise from dozens of countries. When the quake struck, seismic data from Russia, Japan, and the US flowed into a single system. Offers of aid came quickly. Japan and the US supported Russia and Pacific Islands, while the UN and Red Cross coordinated relief. Scientists worldwide shared findings, refining models and improving future warnings. The event proved disasters know no borders, and neither should our response. International collaboration turned a shared threat into a shared victory. The world faced the tsunami as one. After the waves receded, recovery began. In Kamchatka, rebuilding focused on stronger, safer structures and better evacuation routes. Across the Pacific, communities reviewed their response, seeking ways to improve. The spirit of resilience was everywhere. Neighbors helping neighbors, calm evacuations, and a collective resolve to rebuild. The true story was not destruction, but lives saved and lessons learned. The 2025 quake showed that science, preparation, and cooperation are our best defense. The world listened, acted, and endured together. Resilience proved stronger than the waves.